Hey, Walt here from StogieReview.com with another video cigar review. This week we're doing another goodie bag revisit. Jerry was kind enough to send me a sack full of cigars a couple of weeks ago, and I've been trying to not burn through all of them really quickly and saved some of them for these short ashes reviews where we revisit cigars from the past. And the next one up on the list after the Camiguan Guapos of last week is the Duena, and this one is the Petit Lancero. And of all of the cigars in the bag, this was probably the one that was most interesting to me. I don't remember how long ago it was, but I tried the Duena shortly after it came out. It started showing up. Maybe I'm losing my time reference here. Shortly after Cigars International opened in my area, I started going up there and seeking out some of the newer cigars, and the Duena was one of the cigars that they carried. Now, I picked up a couple of them, and they were all in the Robusto size. Now, I at this point in time, I had remembered Jerry putting on a glowing review for the cigar, but I really didn't remember anything about, you know, sizes performing poorly or anything like that. So I picked up these Robustos because they were my preferred size of the available offerings that Cigars International had. And to be quite honest with you, I thought they were terrible. You know, I smoked that first one, and immediately I thought, wow, you know, what is Jerry thinking? These things are terrible. These are not, you know, these fantastic cigars that he said they were. And I think I might have even text messaged him about it and telling him that how bad my first experience was. And he suggested trying some of the smaller sizes, one of which being the Petit Lancero. Well, the Petit Lancero was not something that I can remember finding at Cigars International, so I sort of put the brand on the back burner after smoking through those Robustos that I purchased that first time around, and all of them were just subpar. I wasn't feeling the flavor profile. They weren't doing it for me, and it kind of put me in an odd situation because here I am in the minority. All these other bloggers are talking about the Duena and how positive it was and how good a smoke it was, and here I am sort of sitting off in the corner by myself thinking, you know, that I don't know what they're talking about. The cigar I had really sucked, but you know, again, after Jerry talked about the smaller sizes, I thought it was really important that I revisit the cigar, not only for, you know, review's sake, but for myself, and try the Petit Lancero. So, with that said, I'm going to get my cigar lit. We're going to get this thing rolling, and we're going to see how it goes. Well, I'm plugging right along on my Duena Petit Lancero, and I'm kind of lukewarm about it right now. The very first puff was I don't know, it filled my palate with a mouthful of smoke that kind of made me grimace. It wasn't at all what I would consider pleasant. It was very dry, but dry doesn't define the flavor well enough. It has a drying effect on the palate. The smoke itself has a lack of oiliness, a lack of creaminess, a lack of like a syrupy texture. So not only is it drying on the palate, but the flavor profile itself comes across as very dry. And it's a dry sort of vegetal kind of taste. I'm maybe leaning towards a natural tobacco sort of flavor. And it hits the palate in such a strange way that it does absolutely nothing for me. If anything, I dislike the flavor profile a bit. It's not like, oh, you know, the cigar is okay, I could smoke it. I actually dislike the flavor profile. It's not an indifferent cigar. It's something that I'm just not enjoying. The construction seems very well. There seems to be done very well. It looked a little kind of rough and tumbled when I got it. It lit with no problems. The draw is a little bit firm, but, you know, considering this is a Petit Lancero, I really don't think it's much of an issue. The smoke volume is a little bit lacking. However, again, I think that's because of the shape and the fact that the draw is a little stiff because of the format. So, again, I'm not really knocking the cigar for having a little bit less smoke than I like or being a little bit tighter than I like, you know, because of the format. You kind of have to expect that with, you know, Lanceros, Petit Lanceros, even the smaller Corona sizes. You know, they can they can have these attributes and still be a decent cigar, you know, still have solid construction. It seems to be burning really well. It's nice and burning nice and even. The ash holds on really well. You know, it takes a big hard, or you know, a strong firm tap over the ashtray to break it free, and I haven't had to touch it up at all. So in the construction department, it's doing really well. And you know, the flavors that are coming across the palate, while I don't enjoy them, you know, they seem refined and purposeful. You know, it's not like this mixture of just bad flavors. It comes off as very precise flavors that I'm just not enjoying. So while I can easily say this cigar is not something I'll enjoy, I can't say it's a bad cigar in general. Just, you know, because it just seems to be working as it should. I'm just not enjoying these particular makeup of flavors. Well, I'm coming down the home stretch on my Duena Petit Lancero, and you know, there's really not a whole lot more to say. You know, I think I summed it up earlier on. Nothing has really changed. The flavor profile just seems very dry, kind of vegetal. It has like a natural tobacco taste. There's a little bit of almost like a semi-sweet sort of chocolate kind of flavor about it. And that's really the only pleasant flavor profile I'm finding throughout the whole blend. Everything else just seems kind of dry and a little bland. You know, I wish the cigar had a bit more punch, a little bit more pep to it. But in this case, you know, it's medium bodied, it's dry on the palate, it's got a dry sort of flavor profile that just really isn't doing anything for me. In the construction department, you know, I think this is a very nice cigar. It's constructed well, it burns well. It smokes well. You know, all the smoking characteristics are very pleasant and enjoyable. And actually, the smoke volume has increased a little bit as I've progressed throughout the cigar. So, you know, the minor little complaints that I've had earlier on, although I did preface it by saying that, you know, it's a Petit Lancero and all, but even those minor little annoyances from earlier on are correcting themselves, or they're becoming less of an issue. So in terms of this being a good cigar, I really can't complain, or you know, I really can't say that it's not. It smokes very well. The flavors are very defined, and I can see a number of people really enjoying them. In fact, I'm in the minority here, not liking this cigar. It seems like everyone is in love with the Duena line. It's just not. I don't see what all the hubbub is about. I must say, though, the Petit Lancero is more pleasant than the earlier sizes that I had. I don't remember whether they were the regular Robusto, the Petit Robusto, you know, whatever that size was that I picked up was more dry and more sort of vegetal and or natural tobacco taste. And that is sort of the core of what I do not like about this cigar. And, you know, apparently the larger ring gauges, I guess they bring that out. They bring those flavor profiles out. Whereas in the Petit Lancero, they're a bit more muted, and I guess you taste the wrapper more, which is maybe where I'm getting that semi-sweet sort of chocolate, a little bit of sweetness. And that's probably what I'm enjoying most about the cigar at this point. So all in all, good, solid cigar. I can understand why everyone loves them, but me, nah, just not for me.